All right. Hello. Welcome to another Kainga dev stream. Today we're going to be playing a little bit of Kainga. We're going to check out some of the thinkers, some of the new things, and also I'm going to be creating my own weird villages. Let's start with the classic sumac to get things going. And let's play on a random map. So I have this little dice in the corner. You can click and we hit a random map, the towers. Great. I'm not going to be doing any quests today. The goal for today is to make some weird villages. So let's do our best. And here we are amongst the towers. I'm going to put my campfire down here. And we'll get things going. Let's see. So every town in Kainga starts with a house. And in my goal of making a weird village, I have to pick the weirdest house. And I think the houses kind of define what villages end out looking like. And I think this frilled house is a great, weird example. So let's see if we can make something of it. Although these clay tower houses are tempting me. No, we'll stick with this. And see what we can do. Just place a couple to get going. And this thinker can build off the edges a little bit, so that's going to help us make something a little bit more unique. Now today I'm not only playing Kainga by myself. Today I'm going to be talking to Drummond, one of the musicians that helped create Kainga's iconic music. So hopefully when he'll hop on and we can talk about how the music in Kainga was created. After that, we'll go through a bit of questions that the community has asked about the game design, seeing as how it's a pretty weird game, and we'll try to figure out, or I'll try to explain why I made certain decisions in the game's design. All right, what do we have? This is some unusual stuff. Resource technologies. We have enough resources for the houses that we have here. But yeah, let's choose. This one looks the weirdest. I'm going with the mentality of creating something weird. That's my focus. So maybe I can make it all the way up here. And we'll put another house in the back over here. In the meantime, I should be getting technologies. That's kind of the focuses of the game, is to get the technologies, then you get the proper, you get the festivals, and then you accomplish what you need. So let's see if we can get Drummond here, and we can talk about the music.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Hello there. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to be joining the stream. I tune in all the time, so.
Yeah, one of the.
Obviously, we worked very closely together on this, so there's that.
Yeah, we worked together many years on this project.
Yes.
And
it's fun, and it still is fun.
Yeah, it's quite a. I think it's, it's one of those things where you work on it and then you like while I was working on it, I was like, man, this is so much work. And then after it was done, I had to take a break, and then coming back to it now after I think it's been about a year since the launch, it's been really a joy to jump into Kainga again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hi, chat too. Just a little intro on myself. My name's Drummond, and me with the help of my business partner Ethan Gustafson, with our company Selfpoint Sound, we created the sound design, some of the sound design and the score for this game, and kind of it was an amazing experience. It was so fun. Like when Eric came to us and kind of started pitching us the idea for Kainga and just like what it sonically would sound like, we were like, yes, let's go. And like one of the most enticing things I'd say was in the beginning, at least, was how you made a very strong emphasis on that this was obviously uh, these are fictional like societies and peoples, but they're a mismatch of a bunch of real world cultures, and that that was like when you said that, I was like, oh, that's so interesting and fun. So, and that's I remember that was like one of our first conversations. That's kind of when we hopped in.
Yeah, you guys really dove into that quite well, um, because we did talk about how we wanted to take influences from around the world without it being connected to any one specific culture. Like wanted African related music, but not be specifically African. You guys, I think you've nailed that on the head quite well. So I'm really happy with that. How did you find um, like did you do a lot of this type of music beforehand, like tribal music or cultural world music, I guess?
Yeah. And I just seen in chat someone says we're a little quiet. I want to just see if we're doing all right here, volume wise.
Oh,
Wolf
okay.
King, if you can hear us, shout out Wolf
Thank.
King 6116. Um, but yeah, if we have had we done music like this before, not like this, not in a way where we constructed it and put it all together like this. But I think our natural sound, the some point sound, kind of lent itself well to this world. Um, when
Okay.
we embarked on this, we knew that there's all these cultures, and that something that was so important to me was that I didn't just make a fake version of these actual cultures' music. I just like I don't. Well, I realized I didn't have the time to do the deep dive into all these cultures, super intense and like historically rich. Um, uh, I didn't have the time to like really do this the studying that would be required to really do justice to that music. So it was kind of like, how can we take elements from this and how can we make it something that feels cohesive and unique, um, and not, for lack of a better word, bastardize other cultures' music. So it was fun to kind of be like, okay, so this isn't really these cultures; it's these cultures through this lens of Kanga, and how can we make those unified? So to the original question, we hadn't really done a lot of world music, and we also score a lot of things. So if people come to us with a need for something like that, we have the ability to, but it's not we're not going to put out an album like this just because we want to.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Um, is the sound volume a little bit better? I think yours sounds pretty low. Let's see if I can try to increase it somehow before we keep going.
Yeah.
Um, I think I've put it on max as much as I can. I hope it's all right. Um,
And
do you remember which song we made first, or which song you made
mm,
first?
yes, I actually do, because that was a pivotal song for us, and it was Happy Tribe. Um, it was the third track on the album, on the OST, and
All the
it was funny
songs,
when.
all the songs have great
Mhm.
names, by the way. A lot of people don't know. I should put that. We talked about putting it into the game, like have the track name come up. I should still do that.
Oh yeah,
But
that'd be cool.
yeah, Happy Tribe.
Yeah, we definitely put a lot of thought into the names for sure. And like yeah, Happy Tribe, we uh, once we found that sound, we were like, oh, we. It was one of those aha moments because Ethan and I were both writing. We stumbled on this groove. And we're like, hold up, this is happy. This is cute. Oh, rip, R.I.P.
What?
You just jumped.
I think you got
Um,
lightninged into the water. All right, that's Kainga for you.
oh damn.
But
Yeah.
yeah, actually
But that.
we do have a jukebox down here where you can play all of the songs. If So we have Happy Tribe
Yes.
here. Yeah.
That's the I'm seriously debating getting that pan flute up there as a tattoo. Either that, I don't know, but I'm definitely going to. It's either that or like the bonfire, you know.
Right. What is a more iconic symbol?
Hmm.
So talk to me about that process of creating like the first
Yeah.
song, because that's kind of how where everything stems from, right? That's where you pull,
Yeah, totally.
you see what worked, what didn't.
Yeah, we had definitely written a good amount of music prior to landing on that song, and once we found the song, we realized, that's the sound font. This is the sound that we're going for, and it encapsulates the vibe of Kanga, which was to us, you needed to work. This is a working environment, but it's also extremely calming.
Right.
And so that element we had to play with, and the playfulness in general, like just looking at it artistically, it's like it feels happy. Even when your thinker gets struck by lightning and dies and falls into the water, it's
Right.
like when I'm looking at this, I'm feeling like I'm in a good place. I'm not really, scared or anything like that. So once we found that one song, um, we then kind of had a basis to create the rest of our songs from. Um, and because we had this guiding North Star sort of track, where you're like, okay, keep aiming for that vibe. And yeah, we definitely had tons of iterations of all of these tracks, all the 24 that made it onto the album. Um, and
Right.
then another fun thing too was, maybe the most fun um, intellectually that I got to like delve into on this project was the idea of all of these cultures and the fact that there are a ton of maps. There's 8, right, in total.
Yeah.
So we it was really important for us. One, like I had said, we don't want to like mimic these cultures or like bastardize them. So we're gonna create this new thing, but also we want the music to change from each location and feel sort of related to where it's coming from because I kind of imagined like these early peoples migrating across all of these lands, and like
Hmm.
their instruments would be brought from uh, one location to the next that would be adjacent, and I do see the terraces as a very important central location to all of the Kangan world. And that's why Happy Tribe, when we landed on that, like I was like, this has the vibe overall, and that's why this has to be in the terraces because the terraces is the place where all of the music from all of the levels would really
Hmm.
centralize and localize. So it's like, okay, now that we've now that I've found the overall vibe of this world, now I can kind of parse it into smaller pieces and divide it up per level,
Yeah, exactly. Some people don't know that the music is separated like that, that each biome has its own songs, and then the neighboring biomes also play that biome's songs, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So just try to break it down. So like, and like you said, the terrace is the center of everything. So it has a little bit. I think we actually left a couple songs out, but it has the
Mhm.
most influence from around the regions. And like, there's some songs here in the flatlands you will never hear in like Greenleaf, for example, because they're on opposite sides of the quote unquote
Mhm.
globe of Kainga.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hello, Seko. Hello, Hoes. And hello, Wolf King. Welcome, guys. If you have questions as well, feel free to chime in and I'll ask them away. I shouldn't have got that lumberjack. Oh well. I'm on like autopilot.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you're killing it. This you started in an awesome location. Gotta love that.
Yeah, so this is one of the new map modifiers. It adds these plateaus. These are actually just chunks from the edges. The
Oh yeah.
I just put it into flatlands to kind of spice up the location. I like this guy's village. I mean, he's winning the unique village competition already. What the
Hmm.
heck? So, how did you choose like which instruments are going to be a part of which songs in which regions? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was
Uh.
created simultaneous as well. Like you didn't know
Mhm.
exactly what the biome was going to
Right.
look like until we
Mhm.
made it.
Yeah. It was definitely like a lot of revisions, and then once we kind of once we kind of like for like the edges, for example, once we kind of saw what that looked like, we would kind of maybe modify some of the tracks and see how can we make this feel more. I don't know. We would use descriptors like earthy or for the snowy level, snowy and et cetera, et cetera. So we just try to find instruments that we thought had those vibes. But actually, you're right in that we had to write all of this stuff kind of as the levels were all being created a bit. We had a good framework for them. But what we ended up doing, and we still do this actually, and during the development we call it the unification process, which was we decided that there's a core integral Kangen band, something that is a truth throughout every level. And that was going to allow us to have cohesion with the entire album, but not only that, make all the lands feel connected. And those had to be really important instruments too, because it didn't want it to just be sort of like, oh, this level has a triangle on it that no one noticed. So the core Kangen band is an upright bass player, and we have an ocarina player who we got to play with, which he was amazing, and piano, and then electronic drum kit actually, and that was a big discussion point there because that really aided in the music not sounding like of a air quote primitive culture, it gave it this sort of newer sound, but we were able to work within the parameters of world music still.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of backdoor thinking, just to try to actualize what the game's showing us, what Kainga brings to life. It's like the pieces are all there. We just gotta make sure that we're showcasing it correctly with the audio. And it's an extremely powerful tool, obviously.
Right. What about? I'm trying to do some tricky maneuvers. Let's see if I can build that.
Oh, that's dope.
So we had different for the different biomes. So obviously we had different music for each one. Did you find that it was hard to like come up with unique sounds for each, like continuously? Because each one sounds like a totally new track.
Yeah, totally. It was tricky. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing too. Per biome, we selected one unique instrumentalist. So,
okay.
Yeah, so like we decided to try to feature a specific instrument for specific zones, and that really helped. We'd bring in a flute for certain levels, and then we have like a guitar more in front of the mix, so that helps make a distinction between the levels. And then that Kangen band helps that unification of like that sound. But yeah, and it's hard too, because certain levels call for certain sounds.
Right.
I'm trying to think, like snow levels in general, the first thing I think of is like bells and common instruments associated with like Christmas music or just music of like wintertime music, and also to use that. And I think culturally those sounds and those instruments are related to snow, and so people will make that association. So it's like, okay, maybe we have some sleigh bells, like a little on the nose, but some sleigh bells or something like that, and while it's snowing, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this makes sense, this checks out, as opposed to like wailing distorted guitar over a snowy background. That kind of,
Right.
I'm sure it would be sick, but
That only works in like Diablo.
yeah, right, exactly.
Right. That's cool. That's a good way to. I mean, for me, I'm a bit artistic, but I am not musically inclined at all. So this is all like fresh.
That was like the one place that we could step in. You're like, I do everything but this one thing. I was like, well, lucky for you and us, that's all we do.
Which is really a win-win because I was kind of, in my mind, it's like you guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
and I was really happy with what you came up with.
Yeah, you did give us that freedom, which was cool. But I also felt that we weren't so off the mark because of the thing that you had made was so clear,
Right.
at least in our minds. And after having really invested time into looking and playing it, it was just right there. So it's nice to be able to hit the mark. We've definitely worked on projects where we write like a bunch of songs and they're like, no, this isn't quite it, and we have to work and sculpt it, but it fell all into place pretty naturally.
Yeah, I think it did too. Oh, this has got to be the spot.
Look at that. I'd live here.
Yeah, me too. Replace all reeds constructions with wood planks. Really? I'd see. This is amazing. Like some things I don't even remember putting in.
You're like, sweet, that's
Yeah.
great. Whoever made that is is awesome.
It's like I imagine that's what it would be like if you worked on a team, but I don't have that excuse.
Yeah, right. Or maybe it'd be the opposite, because like if you're working with this big team, you'll be like, oh, that's the one footstep noise I made.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So we also made, or at some point, where there's like when you do a festival, there's music that plays. Speaking of which, I'll try to get that going. But we at some point we decided that each of the thinkers is going to have their own song, right? And then I think I came up with like some ideas of like possibilities of what types of instruments they could be, and then you guys kind of ran away with it, right?
Yeah, that was a fun assignment because this was more diegetic um, music, like happening within the world, coming from the players themselves. So, and that was fun to play with. And yeah, you had given us like a list of the instruments that you said that the thinkers would use, and so we ended up incorporating like into the festivals. When the festival music plays, it's as if the thinker is playing the music and rallying the troops, doing what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and celebrating too. And that was fun because it's like it's different in nature. The all of that music feels, and I like how it feels different than the OST. But it just adds another level of context, which I think is cool. It's like, oh wow, these people have thought, these people have what we want it to feel like is like, oh, these peoples have existed for a long time, and there's history behind the music, even though there was no history behind the music, but we want them to feel like that.
Right. I mean, it's one of those details that is kind of unnecessary when you're making a game.
It's all necessary. I
Yeah,
think.
but it's
That's that context.
it's also a detail of like, once it's there, people who notice it are gonna really enjoy it.
Yeah, totally. Also, shout out Wolf King. Thank you for saying the kind things about the music. Glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I get a lot of praise on the music. I try to pass it along as much as I can, but just know that
Yeah,
people
that's
are
awesome.
really enjoying it.
Yeah, it was cool. I learned some great life tips while working on this thing, like about music, honestly. Like, when we set off, I very intentionally was not telling people that I was trying to write, and this is the search engine optimization terms that I had been using the whole time, but I was calling it the Lo-Fi World Video Game Music Soundtrack to Study and Work to, which is a mouthful, of course, but like that was kind of the vibe I was going for. And I remember we were posting demos, or maybe someone was playing, and someone commented in the music Discord chat and Kainga chat, and was like, "This music like feels is like it's great, and it's really good music for like working and studying too." And I was
Yeah.
like, yes, it just like made me realize that all that effort and thinking into that thing, like I didn't even need to say it, and they picked up on the message. Like
Right.
actually, Wolfgang in chat was just saying something. I think it was in relation with like the sleigh bells and the social relation between sounds. But like all that thinking is not worth nothing. And that's what I didn't have any proof that like people would pick up on all that hard thinking, but there it was.
Right. I mean, it's true. I mean, my brother uses it. Oh, I shouldn't have gone through his town. Anyways, my brother uses it to. He used to use it to put his son to sleep.
Yes, that's great.
He loves Kainga, and he was always asking me about like this and that, and trying to get things done. But
That's great.
and he was like addicted to the soundtrack. It was
That's
great.
awesome. Yeah, and Ethan has a 1-year-old daughter, and she was born like through the development of this game actually, and
Hmm.
that was an awesome thing. I'm very very close with Ethan, so I like obviously I'm close with his family and everything, and just to kind of the music we were writing at the time before Sylvie honestly was it was one thing, and
Hmm.
then I don't know the context of it, and it just sort of made sense. I was like it makes sense that this music would also be really great for like putting kids to sleep
Hmm.
or just calming things in general. And it's funny it shaped it a little differently.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if Ethan would say the same thing. No doubt he would, but
Right. I mean, it's just relaxing and enjoyable.
mhm. I should throw one metal track in there, really scare everyone.
Yeah. Maybe when the night event happens.
Yeah, be great.
So is there anything that you would like to? Uh-huh. What's going on here, guys? Is there anything you would add to the music at some point, or add to the soundtrack, if you could?
Hmm. I never thought about that.
I
Um.
know we talked about a little bit about like tying different music pieces to the beasts, but it never really.
Oh yeah, I would have loved that too. That was just a little trickier, but essentially, it would have just been if you hear a walker come up, and more so like if you see the giant crab heading your way, or a
Right.
treasure for that matter, and there would be music attached to the beast. So when it gets closer, it would take priority, and if there was a soundtrack playing, it would lower, and you would just hear, like for the crab, I remember just thinking, like Dawn, the classic
Hmm.
Godzilla soundtrack. Da, 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 da. Something really ominous, really scary. It's like, oh no, he's coming. And the louder the music would get, the closer to your village, that impending doom feeling. We definitely played with that idea.
Right.
And then for certain, like the Wandering Trader too, we had played with him, or even the shops, like having silly melodies that would only be. And this is actually the tricky part of this mechanic, is that our listener right now is placed at the camera, right?
Right.
But the way I would want it to work is that the thinker
Hmm.
would go, and if it was just the thinker and he goes to a shop, it couldn't be like just one of your party. It'd have to be the thinker goes to a shop, and then you'd hear it. So you'd have to have a second listener on him activate only like when they're around musical
Yeah.
tracks. But yeah, that was a fun idea.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's a bit tricky in a game like this. Like, where is the player's ear supposed to be?
Yeah,
Like,
I actually spoke with I think his name is Kevin Haggerty, and he worked on. Well, let me just pull it up so I don't mess. Um, he's with Power Up Audio.
hmm.
Um, and he worked on uh, a bunch of well-known games that I'm gonna find after I say this whole spiel. But and I asked him this exact question because it was an isometric top-down, which is not bird's eye, and so there's a lot of things at play. Because yeah, and I remember I think we had actually talked about this too, because the sounds were pretty hot all around you.
Hmm.
Because when you think about it, the camera right now is closest, it's at the zenith to what it's closest to, so directly down. So maybe there's a pond there or something. So that's what
Right.
maybe you'd be hearing. But so that was a tricky element. I was lucky enough to get to interview this guy and ask him kind of how he went about it. And one of the things he said was like, yeah, we actually just made it so that anything you're not looking at, you're not going to hear unless it's a specific. But
Yeah.
like if you're not looking at it, all those side sounds gone. It's like, oh, okay, good tip, good tip.
Yeah, I use like a sorry, like a locational ear basically wherever the camera's focus is. So
Mm-hmm.
like if it's on an edge like this, uh,
Mm-hmm.
if the focus is here, then it's listening here, and like your positional
Right.
sounds would be according to this, but then now it's way over there.
Mm-hmm. And that makes total sense.
Yeah, but
That is how.
it has to like fade between them because it can be a bit jarring as well.
Right. Right.
This guy's gonna hate me. I gotta start giving him some food.
The game that and his name is Kevin Ragamy, and he worked on a Tunic. They worked on
Oh
all these.
yeah,
Like I'm just yeah, Tunic was really cool.
I met him actually
And
at
that was cool.
Gamescom.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, I recognized his
Dang, I should've-
face. I didn't know his name, but I saw him from an interview. Anyways, yeah, that's
Mhm.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's a man. Shout out that guy.
I think he's a like. There's some people that are like exceptional game developers, and I think he's one of them.
Mhm.
All right, I think I'm almost ready. Once these houses are built.
What's the plan of attack?
Just trying to make a cool village, and I think this one's been cooking in the oven for a while, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely looks dope.
Yeah. So you guys are a duo, right? You're a musical duo. How do you split those
Yeah.
jobs? Or like who does what?
Yeah, that's a good question. At some point, we kind of wear a lot of different hats, and so we work, with video games, and we work with film, and we work in the sound departments exclusively. So depending per project, we'll divvy up the workloads. But so for Kainga, because what we ended up doing was one of us would write part of a track and we'd be sharing our ideas back and forth, and if something stuck or something, if we like something, we download that track. Oh, here comes his treasure. He's getting up
He's
there.
going. Nothing's stopping him.
Man. Oh no. And so we would just, if we like something, we'd pick it up and we'd write another piece and we send it back and forth. So it was a real collaboration in that sense.
Right.
And that's kind of how we always do it. It depends too. Like we're working on film, and someone has to do Foley or someone has to do ambience design or things like that. We'll split that work up. Sometimes we even do it per scene. Sometimes we'll do it like per location, or sometimes we'll just say you're just doing this aspect of this, and I'm just doing this aspect.
Right.
He's chilling though. Look at this treasure.
Yeah, he's just hanging out.
He's warming his belly.
What the heck? Yeah. He may not ever leave, huh?
He's one of us now.
Yeah. Oh, he's out of here.
Huh?
This guy's built a cool village as well. All these tower houses.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
I mean, this game has turned out quite well. I'm proud of it now.
Were you not before? Nah.
Oh, absolutely was, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think he's gonna
How could
stay.
you not be?
Like,
Yeah, he's chilling.
I know how he finds his path, and he
Mhm.
may not be able to find a path down. So he's mine now.
Sweet. Look at him. He's just hanging out. He's letting everyone else know you come near us.
Yeah,
You mess with me.
exactly. Do you have a favorite song?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Or is that too
I
hard of a
think.
question?
No, it's not too hard of a question. Actually, yes, it is. But I'll just say one. I think Peace by the Fire, because of the way we were able to parse it out in the hub world, and the creativity that came along with that was very fun. And also I think that piece and Happy Tribe are two of the most Kangen vibes. Like if I had to put two at the top of the list, like those ones feel the most like Kanga to me.
Right.
We go through quite a bit of emotions during the thing, subtly, but
I mean, it's pretty easy to, like when I was making trailers and things for different updates, I could almost pick a song at random, and they would all be bangers. I
That's
mean,
great.
depending on the vibe. Like some of them are obviously more upbeat, and
you use the music in the trailers really well too.
yeah, I try to time it a little bit to. Yeah, I mean, it's. Thank you for the good music.
I mean, thank you for the amazing game.
They're having a festival, huh?
Nice. do like this song a lot as well. This
Yeah,
part
me
in
too.
particular, it kind of picks up.
And those lightning strikes was timed to the song as well.
Yeah, yeah, right. Everything's timed actually.
Yeah.
Little known fact: we made the music first, and the game only followed the music. Just kidding.
That's how all games are made.
Of course, that's how all games should be made.
Yeah. Nice. My windmill is created. I don't know if anyone can. There we go. Perfect.
Do you have a favorite village that you've ever built that you've been like, oh, like screenshots of it?
Not yet. That's kind of why I'm doing this competition, just to see what kind of unique things. I like them. So basically, I design the villages by designing houses because I don't often, play the game as it's normally played. Just because I'm always like testing this and that. But so like this house, I kind of imagine a house like this, and then imagine what type of village it would be, and then you create the space and create the style of it, and then I'm always surprised with like how it turns out.
Yeah,
So
the houses. Yeah, I can imagine your way of playing this is completely different.
yeah, it's a bit different. Just because I need to, like, usually I play, when I play, I like build. I have a cheat code that allows me to build things instantly, just to see if things are working, and then I hop out and then start again, and hop out and start again. But yeah.
Anybody in chat, pay me $50 and I'll give you that cheat code. You just type 123 at the beginning of the game.
Yeah. We have a section for cheats.
Right.
With that, there's not much, nothing to do here, but it's only for me. We're running out of logs again. I'm gonna have to get some people to go. Wandering lumberjacks. Man, this guy's really sticking around.
Yeah, it really is. It's the figurehead of the island.
Yeah. So you said you worked with live Ocarina, is that it?
Musicians. Yeah, yeah. And I gotta find my homie name. Gotta give him a shout out. But that was a lot of fun, and he's a really talented player. And he has like a range of so many ocarinas. So it's just like, and he was giving me tips too about writing, which was amazing. This is like one of the benefits of playing with live people. Is like, he's like, oh well, you could use this ocarina, or you could use these two in tandem. And sometimes when you're playing octaves with ocarina, they sound really good. And I was like, wow, things I never would have thought of.
Right.
Unless I was an ocarina player, Oh, those guys just got blown.
Yeah. So were there any other live instruments that you worked with on top of that?
Yeah, there's all the piano. A lot of the piano is actually live, not all of it, because some of it is MIDI. Guitar, pretty much every single guitar or stringed instrument that you'll hear, other than specific. I think like we use koto, but we didn't actually have a koto. And other instrument, there's a few ethnic instruments that I didn't have access to, but all the guitars, and then the ukulele, and also harana, which is an instrument native to Mexico, which is like a ukulele, but it's got double strings, and that's fun. Trying to think, we have some live drums on there, bass.
That's cool.
And then also shakers. Like we had certain things laying around that, we just randomly jump in and be like, "How about this?" I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great. Let's use it."
Right. Just try this and that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the little pond you got at the bottom.
This one?
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it is. It could be cool if I had some fishing. Maybe there's still time. That's pretty far. I'm trying to get this blast powder going so we can get this festival. Yeah. Yeah, this is cool.
I love the flying. What are those animals' names?
Oh,
They,
the
like,
little the birds?
Yeah.
Featherwing.
Say it again.
I called it a featherwing.
Featherwing. And there's also it's based off the real underwater multi-feathered.
Oh, yeah.
What is
The
that thing actually called?
it's
It's
a
like a star.
starfish. It's like I think it's called a
Yeah.
feather star. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And it was funny because I hadn't seen one of those, but I played inside of Kainga, and then I saw one of those. I was like, what?
Yeah.
He guessed this correctly.
Yeah, pretty wild, huh? Fun fact, this is actually a flat object that's being moved by colors.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
I'm
was
just trying
like-
to process that.
I was like experimenting with you know, how colors mix with the materials, and I found out you can move things like it's basically a sine wave and then color gradients, which is pretty weird.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder what other context that's used for.
And I didn't realize we need 10 more people. We gotta make some more farms.
Do you have a favorite level?
I'm pretty happy with all of them. Let's see. That's a kind of cop out
Tough
answer.
one, I know.
Yeah. The one I'm least happy with. Well, I don't want to say that.
Yeah. Don't let them know.
I like personally I like the pebbles for some reason. I just think it's really calming, even though it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
play on. I like the towers for its weirdness,
Yeah, the towers is awesome too.
just because there's no other game that would dare make something like that.
Yeah.
And then what else?
That one's tough.
Yeah, I like.
But I love the structures that you're able to make on them because they're all like cliffside,
Yeah.
awesome things, you know.
Exactly. It's super weird. But I think the terrace is the most balanced and kind of makes the most sense.
Mhm. Yep.
Which makes sense because it's the one I spent the most time on as well.
Mhm.
And then what else? I do like Darkwood just because it's
Darkwood is beautiful.
yeah, it just looks cool,
Yeah,
like with the
it's such a-
purple
yeah.
fog in the distance.
Yeah, definitely enchanted vibes.
Yeah.
Darkwood has changed a lot. Hasn't it? Like
Yeah.
from when you first made it. Yeah, I remember that because like the fog was never there, right?
Yeah. Well,
And then you have a lot of
usually the fog's not there when I start. But a lot of the maps have changed quite a bit over time. All right, you know what? I'm gonna take a photo of this before this crab comes out. How do I do this?
definitely get one facing the treasure.
This way? I think I have to put it on the...
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hold on. Why not? Let's do it like this. Kind of looks like a heart shape, doesn't it? The island that I'm on.
Oh yeah. Hard Island.
All right.
Nice, that was great.
Just for tips, if you want to, like, if people are watching and they want to take photos of their own villages, you press V and it gets rid of the UI. And then, of course, you can press space to pause.
There he is.
Let's see, there's about a 30% chance he comes right here.
33.333.
All right, we need 5 more people, and then our... Uh-oh, look at that. The roll of the dice.
Oh.
Towers.
Rogers,
Wolf.
save us.
Wolf King says Towers feels like it has the most randomness to it, especially with the randomly placed land bridges. Yeah, it definitely is the least fair map. I think the Flatlands is the easiest map. Well, it's resource light, which is kind of that's the challenge there.
He's going.
He's coming, isn't he? Look at this guy. He's like
the watering hole.
Just like, you know what? When in doubt, just keep on working.
Yeah, he does not care. Hey, look, it worked.
Yeah, good thing we had a moat.
Yeah, it staved him off.
All right, so,
That's a deep moat.
It is much deeper than it looks. I do like, this is one of the first creatures I added, and I don't know why, but I feel like it's such a cool addition.
Oh, he's awesome. He's epic.
Yeah.
I remember the first time seeing anything from your game. You know, just like scouring all sorts of all across the internet, and I see this giant crab.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, "What in the world is this?" And the art style and everything was. I was just like, "All right, I gotta ask this guy what he's doing."
Yeah, that's
that
how
worked.
it all began.
Do you think you'll be going to PAX next year as well?
I won't be able to make it. I have a family event, unfortunately.
Nah. We'll have to link up again at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's host this festival. Oh, we need one more person. I think I made too many production houses. Here we go. Let's do it.
Sweet.
This is the Ring of Fire Festival. This guy brought his he's playing his instrument.
Nice.
Blowing that horn into the arena. Actually, the design of all the instruments as well was a little bit. I wanted to take real instruments and then kind of make them unreal a little bit as well. But like I think my favorite one is the Akiote's. It's like a bass guitar or like a cello and a violin all on the same strings, which doesn't make any sense, but
It's great.
yeah.
I bet it exists. I bet it's out there.
Right. All right.
And yeah, this is the song, by the way, Wolf King. It's the one that plays in this hub world. And if you stand in the center, you'll hear one version of the song, but as you kind of walk around, you'll hear different instrumentations show themselves. But it's all the same song, but there's like 5 songs in one. And then they all work together, which is fun. This dude's my favorite. I love the Scroll Master. What is his name? Is he
His name is
James?
Scroll Keeper. That's right.
Yeah, right. It is
See, I'm losing my memory of the game as well. Yeah, so if you walk around different areas of the Skyloft, you get different versions of the music, and they all kind of.
And if you hang out on the porch, you get the song Perch.
Yeah. All right, let's do another one. So this is something I've been working on, the Necromancer's Tower. But I don't dare go there in Darkwood. So we'll see if it comes up later, hopefully. Let's try a towers again. This is a unique formation, a ring formation. That's pretty rare, actually. This map modifier only comes up in the towers and the pebbles. Let's see what we can get.
Well, Eric, I think I'm gonna let you to it.
All right, sure. Well, thank you for coming on by. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me, man. And you know, obviously love Kainga, and thanks to all the people tuning in, man. Hope to see you guys here next time.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you and learning about the music. And thank you for making such a fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah, definitely. I'll see you on Counter-Strike.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, see you guys.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. All right, so here we are in the towers. This is usually the towers is in like a line formation. This is the ring formation. So it's not much of a ring, to be honest, but it is a ring. So let's see if we can get our town going here. I'm gonna build my campfire right here. And then while I'm building this town, I'm gonna be answering questions that the community has come up with. Wolf King says, Breezy, I'm curious, would it be of interest to list the instruments the thinkers play on their page? Oh, you mean in the encyclopedia? That could be kind of fun to have like thinkers and then it has their instrument as well. You know, that's a great idea. That does absolutely nothing for the game, but it's one of those things that seems like fun. Also, I should have mentioned this before, but I intended to have, like, after you play the song in the Skyloft, then the thinkers all play music together, because all of their songs can actually play simultaneously. Should we go with this one? This is not gonna work. I've made a huge mistake. I may have to cancel this. This house is a bad choice. But unless we can get some stilts of some kind, then we can repair this situation. Yeah, I could put the houses down at the bottom, but it won't be a very interesting house. I mean, a very interesting, unusual village. We'll see what we can amend. So one of the questions, I'll just go through them and I'll read them out, and then hopefully in the YouTube version, I'll add them as text below as well. We'll see. All right, stilts pads. I would go for the balloon, but these houses don't fit on the balloon. So yeah. So a lot of these questions come from Shifter, and he says, I know the game is inspired by Populous. What helps create the roguelite inspiration system? So basically I wanted to recreate, the game started by me wanting to recreate Populous because it's an old game that I really enjoyed, and if you don't know the game, that's perfectly fine. It's a weird game, but I just wanted to create a version of that game. That was my goal. And this is being real particular, huh? And how it became a roguelite is that it basically I wanted to be able to play the game in short bursts, and over time that's kind of how it developed to be the roguelite the way that roguelites work kind of fit perfectly for that goal. So it kind of evolved to be a roguelite on its own without me asking it to be. Also, there's I wanted a lot of variation in each game. And again, roguelites are perfect for that. You know, every time you play, you get a whole new... Usually, it's like a roguelite like Enter the Gungeon, which I was playing a lot at the time I was developing this. You get, you know, different guns each time that you can play with, and it kind of makes each run, so to speak, as it's called, unique. But in this, I thought it would be cool if, you know, in a city builder, you didn't always get the same thing. Part of it was, like, historically, civilizations always grew up or, like, evolved differently. So it was hard to find a game that allowed, you know, for that variation. And this Firebird's just... He's, stubborn. So yeah, like some games allow for, you know, usually each civilization is more or less the same, with minor changes. You know, you always get the paper, and then you get books, and then you get writing, or, you know, so forth. But I wanted a game where you didn't have to get every technology to be, you know, quote unquote successful. So yeah. Big balloon upgrade when? Maybe it's a good idea. Now that I have nomads, I'm tempted. I'm working on making nomadic start as one of the game modes, but we'll see. How do you decide if a festival fits the world style of Kainga, or if you're able to kind of Kaingify most of the ideas? Yeah, I am kind of can make it up as I go along for some of the festivals and things like that. For example, sometimes I have a festival that I know I'm going to have this bonus, and it's going to act like this. And sometimes that's clear, and sometimes I just have a festival that I want with that thinker. For example, I knew this thinker I wanted a stone festival, so I created this stone pyramid, but I didn't know what it was going to do when I created that. Other festivals, like a lot of Sumax festivals, started out as mission objectives, and then they became his 3 festivals, like the feast and the bonfire. So we're here. I'm actually Akiote B side, so we have a little bit of different festivals. Some of them, like this, Incense Revival, convert all nearby ghosts back into their corporeal forms. So this is, you know, I knew it was going to be ghost related, and a lot of the ghost related topics are jars, so I knew it had to be jars, and so on. Yeah. But I did do quite a bit of shuffling of festivals at one point. And a lot of powers changed. Especially the sky pole changed quite a bit. Let's see if we can get a couple more houses going here somewhere. I'd like to have my food coming from the top. It's not quite gonna work, is it? Let's try that. Those starts are one of those things I'd love to see. Theme starts are one of the things I'd love and seem to vibe with your game, but also technically challenging to implement. If you can do it, I'll be happy to play them. Theme starts? What do you mean theme starts? Oh, you mean like a nomadic start? Yeah. This guy's also, I'm gonna try to disrupt him, so he doesn't keep yelling in my ear. Actually, we have X-Men for this, but... Alright, go back to that. Yeah, we'll see. I'm still working on some map modifiers and things like that, so I have high hopes for the future and what's possible. But we'll see. So we're gonna need some bricks. Oh, we do have bricks. Cool. Originally, this house didn't have attachments, but now it does. This is why Sumac is such a great first thinker, is because you have so much more flexibility when it comes to placing houses. For that the edge bonus. So here's another question. What inspired you to make a series of unique heroes rather than other games that opt on factions or races? I knew I didn't want factions or cultures, like defined cultures, from the beginning. I knew I wanted to have it so you can evolve your game and your culture as you play over time. And one of the... but also, I wanted there to be a sense of identity for the player, if that makes sense. Something that the player can tie themselves to when they're playing multiple games with different cultures. You know, like what connects this village to the village I had before? Well, nothing really, besides the fact that I am a thinker, and what the? You're getting dismantled. For the greater good. So that's why I had the thinkers to kind of tie the player to something in the game that carried over between games, if that makes sense. So you, as the player, can always be a thinker. You know that that's who you are, and you're not like these people. And I think it's actually, I think it works out best. Like, when your thinker starts getting attacked, in your mind, you're like, I'm getting attacked, and I have to be protected. Things like that. So I think it was a success in that sense. Yeah, get out of our town. Speaking of successes, I think this town is not a success. Something weird about the thinker is he started out, or there wasn't always a thinker, and then I created that idea. And then I was having trouble figuring out like what is his purpose? Like, how does the thinker tie into this? How can the thinker be the person who plays multiple games but not you? You know? Or not everyone else. So before the Skyloft was created, the thinker was actually thought of as a at one point he was a time traveler. I know that sounds weird, but yeah. And you had to go around the map, and you had to find a way to rebuild your time machine, and then that was the success. But that was like a very brief version. It didn't last very long. So I did anger these guys. I think I'm gonna hop out of this game. Oh, where are you guys going, huh? Little adventure. I do like the balloons. I'm really happy with how the... Oh, did everyone die, really? All your braves perished. I deserve it. That was a terrible start. In essence, the thinkers and the culture are what carries them between villages. Yeah, even if it's totally different, but you do kind of have that play style. So let's play Kainga, speaking of which. AKA the best thinker, says Seko. Yeah, I do like the thinker concept better as well. We could play the B side. With the B side, you actually start with a snail, which is cool. Let's do it. Although I don't like this brown color, I'm alright with everything else. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can get that new... Here we go. So I don't know if I should show this, but I'm going to... this is the Necromancer's Tower, something I'm working on. And I'll kind of explain how it works. If you don't want to see it, then I recommend skipping this part, and I'll put a timestamp in where you should skip to if you don't want to get spoiled. But if you're alright with that, then carry on. Or if you're watching this live, then it's too bad. Alright, but first of all, we need a weird house. I have tons of karma, so I'm looking for something that is unusual. And now this is a very unusual house, but it's not very visually unusual. So I think I'm going to have to go with this one. Right? Yeah, I think so. Took forever for that to finally show up. Yes, I've heard some people say that they've never seen it. I mean, it is much easier to place with sumac because, like, technically this is not a fishing version, but this one is. You can see how it flips over and has that little patio. That's because because of the way that cliff is shaped. This doesn't count. So these are regular houses, and this is a fishing variety. So let's place a couple here. Yeah, get one fishing and a couple of regular ones like that. Not sure this is going to be a very unusual town, but we'll give it a go. We have some beast technologies because we started out with that snail. Would make sense. This is kind of a cool opportunity to use these because normally, you know, by the time you get this technology, you already have your food going, but I don't need it. So I'm going to go with this one. I don't need it because I have the fishing houses. Wolf King says he has 120 hours in the game, and I only got the Hawken house after you troubleshoot my achievement issue. I wonder if that was related, but I doubt it. It shouldn't be. It's probably the bug report placebo effect, you know? Once you report it, then everything's fine. You can breed a snail army with the egg add-on. Absolutely. Because a secret is you don't actually need eggs. You just need food. So here's another question. When creating technologies, do you have a mind for balance? Or were you interested in creating content and just seeing how the players used it? Some technologies were created for balance, but most technologies were just created because I wanted to make them. And I know that sounds like a poor game design decision, and I'm sure it shows a little bit when you're playing the game and you get a technology like the cloud catcher or something like that, and you're kind of thinking, what am I doing with this? Or why does this exist? But the benefit of the roguelite system is that you don't need perfect balance to have a good or fun game. And that is because sometimes you can have unbalanced runs that are so overpowered, and then it all ends and you start again, you know, start from fresh. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of an advantage to the roguelites. Like Enter the Gungeon, for example, which I took a lot of inspiration from in the beginning of the development. You know, once in a while you get this massive gun that absolutely obliterates everything, and you have a fantastic run, and then it's all gone. You finish the game, and then you play again, and you're, you know, back to square one. I hope that answers that question. Veggies versus desert runs. Oh, dessert runs. I never heard of it that way, but that makes sense. It's like sometimes, you know, you just don't get what you want. Like the last game I played, it just didn't click together. And maybe it's my fault for picking the wrong things. But yeah, let's make the stew. This is the suspicious stew. Nothing suspicious about it. Those are not skulls. Maybe they're some sort of vegetable. We don't need the mud arches. We've done stilts pads twice. I hardly ever get the rickshaw. But maybe I should make a rickshaw army. Here comes the rain, says Smash the Drum. Thank you. Yeah, rain is here. Let's try the rickshaws. I mean, this is one of those technologies that doesn't make sense. There is no reason for it. I mean, you can walk perfectly fine everywhere. But some things I just wanted to do for fun. And then some things turn out to be unbalanced, and I'll change them to rebalance them. The AI has a higher chance of spawning with beasts now as well. And if you're interested in the Necromancer's Tower, this is what it looks like. So if you've ever wondered why Serrano doesn't show up in your normal games, that's because he's not really a normal thinker. He's the creator of the thinkers. And he is, by definition, a necromancer. So I created this weird tower with these memorials, and he's a master of ghosts. Also, I finally put this ring of spikes into use. I think it works out well with that. So we'll see if somebody... we'll see how it works later. Alright, what do we need? I know I need Lotus Pond at some point, so might as well make it now. Rickshaw plus flathead. I did plan on, you know, when I was making the rickshaws, I did plan on making them, you know, with the option of having a snail or like a smaller beast pull them. But it just never came into... Actually, this whole system, there was an update called Inventions, where we had things like the drawbridge and... hello. Where you going, snail? I guess our drawbridge doesn't work anymore. But there was an update called Inventions, where I had things like this, and there was multiple types, and you could swap this out for a snail, or like you can make a gas-powered one, or like a fuel-powered one, and it ended up just being too finicky. I mean, there's still a couple of those texts still in the game, but I ended up toning it down quite a bit. Wish you could keep some passives between runs. I think keeping passives would be overpowered, which is why I didn't do it. Just because passives are really powerful. And the only way you get passives is by sacrificing another technology. Actually, we'll talk about that. That's one of the questions. This is actually the next question. What a coincidence. The question is, Kainga has both active and passive technologies. Can you explain why you split them such that players have to reject an active technology to choose a passive technology? Basically, yeah, like I said, I wanted... So in this situation that I'm playing in right now, I have the fishing huts, which is very efficient, no pun intended, and I have the option for another technology right here. So here I go. I have, you know, fishing net, fishmonger, which is actually irrelevant, but or the fisherman's wharf. If I don't need any more food, like what should I do? Like, what are you going to do otherwise? And that's where I put these passives. You can reject these and take a passive instead, if in the case that you don't actually need any of these. I'm going to take the fishmonger because I like the look of it. But originally, passives were only a part of house bonuses. So that's why a lot of the beginning or the earlier houses have things like the hats and the axes and things like that. That was the only way to get passives, was choosing that type of house, which eventually changed. Now you can have more than one. Let's create some fisher folk. Oh, and I gave the necromancer a round boats because I haven't seen enough of these. I don't think people even know they exist. So he might be able to trade and things like that. I'm not sure. I haven't blocked it, so I hope that they're able to participate in that way. We can see Serrano here, but he doesn't look like he's very willing to trade. Let's go with the Banner Stadium in case things get out of control. Now this can only be built on clay. So we might as well claim this land over here as well. And I want to build some more fisheries. I mean, we can't make them all fisheries, right? Or maybe. Speaking of which, we need to get across this island somehow. Let's see if these... some technologies, like the straw bridge and the fishing dock, actually don't need to be inside of your sphere of influence. That might work. Let's try it. I didn't write that down anywhere, but... Oh, it's so close. Keeping the axes passive basically wins you most runs. Exactly. If you had axes and then if you have hats, you know, you're not affected by rain anymore. And then, or you have the snowsuits, you know, there's a lot of good passives out there to basically win you. It would be too easy to win. A lot of the passives are viable on multiple maps as well. I meant more along the lines of memorized text. Yeah, that's what we mean with the... If you could memorize passives, then it would be a little bit too powerful. I did play around with the idea of having Serrano be the one who can memorize only passive technologies, but I ended up canceling that as well. And then I have a surprise for Serrano B, if you haven't gotten there yet. Which is along those lines, but not quite. Most movement technologies don't have to be within your borders. Yeah, that's true. Kainga has both... Here's another question. Oh no. Kainga has a number of beasts players can interact with each time they play. Can you share what meaning those have to Kainga and why you chose to include large and small beasts? So, like, as this game was kind of based off the game Populous, there are no creatures in that game. There is one creature, actually. There's a bird. But, basically, I wanted to have creatures in Kainga to immediately indicate that this world was a world of fantasy, but not a world that you recognized. You know, when you see these, it kind of makes logical sense with like bone structure and how like things in our world work, but it's unlike anything that we've seen in our day-to-day lives. So that's kind of indicates that, oh, look at that, very convenient. Let's lower the bridge. That indicates to the player or to somebody looking at the game what type of game this is going to be. And this is a fantasy game. Now, if I had creatures like wolves and dragons, things like that in the game, you would also know what type of game this is going to be. And it wouldn't be this game, if that makes sense. yeah, it would steer your mind into a certain expectation. So having things like snails or the walkers and mastodon, your mind is more open to a new world to be explored. And that allows me to make weird things like, houses with fishing poles and things like that. Kind of blends into this world of, subverted expectations, where it's kind of a combination of things you uh, would see in a normal game or in a normal world, but with a twist. Oh, we have a synergy. I always love this because although I made the game, I'm always surprised on what it's going to be. Like, what is mixing here? Fish and temple? Ah, of course, the incense. So we get our we get sensors. Although he requires ceramics instead of the fabric that we have already, I think I should take it for the sake of the content. Uh-oh. I have no fire protection. Luckily the wind is blowing in this direction, so it shouldn't spread too much, but... Oh yeah, we have our snail to save us. So if you notice this white dot, when somebody dies, they get turned into a white ghost, which goes into the Necromancer Tower and becomes another unit for them. So they're gonna keep multiplying every time somebody dies. What a disaster. So let's build another banner over here. And we'll keep this going. I guess there's no more technologies for me to get until one of these islands moves. Oh yeah, there's one. And you can always click on the yellow light and it'll go to the bottom of the technology as well. Also for the beasts, I wanted there to be some sort of danger in the world that wasn't always related to the weather. So I wanted, something you could fight that wasn't people as well. Actually, in the beginning of the game, the town AI was really, really bad. Basically, there was no town AI. They would just come in raids every once in a while. But the beasts had, nest AI, so you could see a snail nests and you could attack them and so forth. So that was kind of, in the beginning of the game, that was one of the ways you could interact with nature that wasn't just weather. Yeah, thank you, Seko. I appreciate it. So here's a question. Can you explain your thought process behind world events and Ante? So this kind of ties into what we were talking about just now. What made you use player claim flags and other events outside time as a grounds for increasing Ante? So Ante was actually added quite late. It was like an emergency edition right before either a demo or early access. I can't remember at the moment. But it was added pretty late in the development. And I had an internal Ante system, so basically it works, still works. What I call it is it's a disaster budget. So the game is crunching numbers. Every time you successfully build a house or successfully produce a person, the number goes up a little bit, and every time a house is destroyed or a person dies, the number goes down a little bit. Is this too much fish? No such thing as too much fish. So, yeah, then I decided to add this Ante system as well, which is tied to, basically it goes up over time. And the purpose of the ante was, initially it was performance. So if you may have noticed, if you play the game for like 2 hours, it starts to slow down a little bit. So the ante was trying to kick you out of the game at some point to make, things unlivable. Which is kind of, that's kind of against the spirit of city builders in a way. So I try to get around it by, saying this is a roguelite, so things are going to be tough. But I think part of the fun of the game is playing new cities each time and not building a big successful city. At some point, actually, I think the game's enjoyment diminishes as you're playing the game. Like once you've succeeded in creating a successful village that can live on its own, the challenge is gone in a way. Let's go pillar paths. If you maybe you agree. Actually, let's build the temple on the pillar paths. That's a great idea. And we'll do it out here. Oh, yeah. I'll have to build those first. What was I saying? What were we talking about? The ante, yes. So, yeah, it was basically designed to kick people out of the game. It was kind of received rather poorly at the start. But I think it's been balanced in a way that, it doesn't really, it's not that rough. So, yeah. And then I tied ante to claim flags because, if it wasn't tied to that, what's from stopping people just claim the whole island, the whole map? And actually, that's another performance issue that, the more resources you have claimed, the more resources each person has to check when they're looking for a resource. So, yeah, get out of my blueprints. Oh, this requires logs. This is not gonna work. Alright. That's way too expensive. Talk about balance. Yeah. We have no logs at all. So we're just gonna have to sit here and suffer. Maybe we can get the trader over here at some point. Neither of these are gonna help. Oh, he's building the arena. Alright, well, maybe... Hey, you can't build it there. That's cheating. Yeah. I've always thought that interesting stilts don't require anything. Most other movement text requires something. Maybe I should just make the logs. The reason for that is just because it's fun. Originally the stilts did cost bamboo, and it just became a bit oppressive to try to rationalize that. You wouldn't build any, basically. And it's a lot more fun to be able to build a lot more and have fun with it, which is kind of why I'm thinking maybe this should be free as well. Because in this situation, I want to build a little patio here for my chapel, but I'm just unable to do it because of a resource restriction. And, I can just build it here. It'd be basically the same thing. Actually, I can't, but we'll figure that out later. But yeah. There wasn't always a claim banner in Kainga. At one point there was a button right here, and you could drag and select resources to be claimed, and then those would be claimable, and then you could like shift drag and get rid of resources as well. But that never, or that just seemed too similar to other games, and it didn't have again, there was nothing stopping people from just dragging, like shift dragging on everything, you know, claiming all the resources on the entire map. I had a little warning that said, like, please don't claim everything. You don't need to. But still, people would do it, and it felt there was no reason why not to. So I think the claim land banner makes sense. Actually, before, you could build houses anywhere on the map as well. And then that kind of came at the same time as the ring around the campfire. And then it would have your territory. I'm still upset that I have these overlapping lines. I wish they would just merge into one another. If somebody knows how to program that, please give me a call. And let's do it. Because I would love to have that. Because I think it looks visually messy, how it is now. Now here comes the trader. So let's get some silk ready for him. And then we can trade that for logs. I don't think I can put this anywhere else. So another question here is, can you talk us through the value you place on verticality? In the very first map, the terraces and many others focus on slopes, ramps, platforms, and lowlands. What role does this sort of level design play in making Kainga? This was one of the pillars of Kainga when I started, was that I didn't think enough city builders had verticality. Like, this is a pretty flat. Oh, he's got his head up in the fire. It's just, you know, he's just toasting his chin. You know, if the trader would come over here, that would be great. But yeah, I really wanted a game, like, I was tired of playing city builder games where you open the map, you open the game, and it's just a flat area of maybe forest, maybe there's a rock or two somewhere. But overall, you're not able to... That's it. Like, there's no changes. And I always like making, like, cliffside towns and tunnels and things like that. But you're not able to do that in most games. So, yeah, so I wanted to add that verticality to Kainga from the beginning. The terraces was kind of the test in that, having these multiple levels. Whoa, are you attacking me? That's a big army. I'm not ready for that. He has the conversion headbands as well, so I've got the wrong unit for this. But I don't even have any. Let's get this thing down. Maybe we can harass them. Oh, yeah. Cheese tactics. But every time I kill someone, he's gonna go to the Necromancer's Tower. Maybe I should speed these things up a little bit. That'll keep him busy. Oh, here's the trader. Let's get this going. Alright, we give fabric 5, 6, 7, 8, and we want logs. Wow. Man, fabric's going for a lot these days. Let's just get everyone focused on this. So, yeah. Hello, Hashburger 420. Silk is my favorite tech group. So, in terms of verticality, some things... The towers was one of the maps I knew I wanted these tall, pillar-like mountains sticking out of the water that you can build like bridge villages in. And I knew that would be kind of a unique way to, like that would be totally unique to Kainga, and people would really enjoy that. But it turned out more differently than I expected, and also pretty difficult to play on. I understand why people play, like, people create pretty flat games. It's, like, I have a lot of problems with ladders and things like that. But yeah, I think it's worth it in the end. We should have got ceramics as well. What a missed opportunity. Oh well. My least, or the map that changed the most in terms of design was Ice Ridge. It wasn't originally going to be a big mountain in the water. It was going to be a series of... uh-oh. He's finished. They're playing the game, so I might as well take a photo of this town while we can. And I'll throw that photo up on the old Discord as my my weird villages, because this is a loss. I do like these fishing we created. Basically, we're just a fish people here. We eat fish and that's it. And let's launch him. I've done it before and they like launch into the air. I was sure that the game was going to end. I'm pretty sure that's a success. But, alright. Let's carry on, I suppose. Let's move on to another question. Apparently, Garam... thank you, Warrior TW, for following. Yeah, the elevators is one of those techs that is it's a great idea, and when it works really well, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So yeah. I mean, I do like this town. Let's just take a closer look. Put Garam, or Galanga, sorry, up here in the front. And we'll try one more. Let me get this guy in. Yeah, that's looking great. If you want to get rid of the UI, by the way, you just press V. And then another trick to move the camera, you notice how the camera kind of goes up and down when you're moving around. Especially on the towers, it can be kind of hard. But if you hold control when you move, it moves half as slow, and then you can also... oh, well. You can also keep the elevation. So even when the camera goes off a cliff, it'll maintain its elevation and won't change elevation, if that makes sense. So that can help take some nice photos, if that's your jam. But I think we're going to call this one quits and try a different one. I want to do a stacking town, and then, yeah. So who's going to be the best? I think I'm going to show off Charnuchka. We're going to go for the B-side, because he's got a really great festival that I think I haven't seen anybody talk about yet. So I would like to show it off. We could go to the terraces, the old classic. Poison water. Let's do the lush. Easy. So cool when the AIs use their air vehicles on mesas. They tend to be more functional than expected. Yeah, even I was surprised. So this thinker, he's always followed around by a cloud. Luckily, we start with some hats, so we can actually still do some work. But yeah, that's kind of his... I shouldn't have built right here, but that's okay. Now, I should pick the mushroom hut. Because it's super weird. But I'm going to pick the thatched mansion. And try to go for something bizarre. I did add durians to the lush map modifier. So keep your eye open for that. And there's a lot of mangroves. There's a lot of mangroves. Just looking for... I think I'm going to steal one of these balloons and then I'll be able to go anywhere I want. Alright. Durians are brutal. You can actually cheese the enemies with your... let's do stone mine. Let's just start off with a stone mine. A couple stone mines, and then start building our houses. We're gonna need some sort of stilt. My game dev tip to making a cool village: you need stilts. So I'll get my food first, and then I'm gonna steal a balloon, and then go get some stilts. So let's see, another question. What's your favorite tech that was inspired by the community? So there's a couple techs that are inspired by the community. The mushroom houses, for one, that we just saw. Things like the banner attachments and the workshops, like the planks workshops, the bakery, things like that. Those were, this one, the bread factory, those are community requested. The pillar stilts I really like. That was community requested. I just like it as a concept. Is this the bake? Yeah. And actually, we don't need this technology. I'm just going to skip it. No, he's busy. He's focused. Even techs like the walls are community requested, which I think the way I created it was disappointing to a lot of people, but it's for, if you can just wall off your town, then it becomes a bit trivial. That's why actually houses don't block. They don't have full collision. You can just walk through them. The Great Cannon, but this is what I'm looking for. And we're gonna build this up here. I hope to get some... this is gonna be... I'm gonna put these on hold for now. Yeah, steal their balloon, and I'm out of here. And I'm gonna go all the way over here. I think one of my favorite techs the community requested was the Colpour Tour, which isn't used often. And the reason why I like it is because it's based on a real life thing that nobody's heard of. So Colpour Tour is a French delivery man. In the ancient times, they would like bring stuff to door, basically like a door-to-door salesman. And they would bring stuff to you. But you would like request it and then would have it delivered. Are you attacking me? Oh man. Oh, he took my balloon too. I'm just gonna take this, then I'm out of here. We can handle it. I can't believe he stole my balloon. They shouldn't attack me while there's a demand going. So, if that's the case, we need to focus on building this bakery. Alright, so we did get the pillar paths. We do have a lot of logs this time, so maybe we can make this work this time. Yeah, let's do it. I think, actually, another one of the techs... Another tech that the community requested that I ended up putting in was just the extended ladders. The way that ladders can stretch up multiple levels. wasn't always that way, and now that it is that way, it's pretty cool. Alright, guys. Time for another balloon heist. I should have brought these guys along from the beginning. What's your favorite tech? Okay, so here's the plan. We're gonna get a cool building, and then we're gonna build a log ladder out here. And then I'm gonna build a building out here. And then I also want to build buildings up here. So let's go get that other... this one. It's nice that they brought the boats over. They could have just walked. But for some reason they thought it was better to bring the boats over, which is cool. Alright, the last question I have on my list, and feel free to ask any that you want as we go. But, what was the thinking behind the resources and how they influence the game, especially ones like blast powder? So I initially split the game into two different types of resources. There's the natural resources, which you find out in the world. And originally these were the only resources. And then it just kind of evolved into a system where, you know, it's like, well, maybe we should have wood planks, or maybe we should have stone bricks. And then I added these production or unnatural resources, which I call, yeah. I think it started with ceramics, actually, was the first one. Started with the trade and things like that. It just became more and more necessary to have resources that you couldn't get naturally. But I do like to have, sorry, I need something with the verticality. So let's keep, we could do a climbing pole. Sure. And then let's just go on an adventure. Let's get a passive. There's a snail in there somewhere. But yeah. Been a bit since I last played, says Seko. But I remember playing around with a ton of balloons last time. I had archers in them, just shooting down the enemy balloons that were... and they were taking over those. It was great fun. Well, you might be surprised to know that balloons can pop now. They can explode. And your people will go flying all over the place. Which is pretty great. But, yeah. This is going to be a rough map. I'm in a bad spot. So I don't think I'm going to make another unique village here, but I'll give it a try. Is that in the current game? I think it's in the current game. Uh-oh. Are we getting hassled? We are getting hassled. Come on home, boys. I don't think we're gonna make it. I only have 2 Braves, and they have 4. So this could have been a cool town, but it was an absolute disaster. I think I'm gonna have to call it here, but it's been fun kind of playing the game again, and can confirm they did get flung. That's good. I thought I'd remove this rain cloud from the skyloft. It shouldn't be there. But I should have a new update, which will have updated French, as well as a couple changes, some fixes. Actually, the firefighting is currently broken, which is an urgent change. It needs to be in. And then I did notice, and somebody else said that there's a little issue when you're trying to attack people. If they're too friendly, then they won't, like the force attack doesn't work. So let me fix these things and I'll have a new patch up and running. But until then, and I highly recommend you check out Charnushka's B-side, because there's a pretty cool thing with the sky pole. If you get it struck by lightning, and then you get to basically you get to redirect the lightning, and it's pretty fun. So yeah, this has been great. Thank you for the questions. I'm gonna thank Drummond for coming on earlier to talk about the music, and I hope to do another stream soon. And if you're making your own unique villages, put them up on the Discord, which is right here. Should I change this to follow me on X? I can't. No. Yeah, so just put them up on the Discord and the Share Your Villages channel. We're doing a weird villages competition that will be ending by the end of the month of October 2023. And I'll try to make this an annual thing so we can keep making new villages. Actually, this has kind of inspired me to make a bunch of new house types, so that'll be coming in as well soon enough. So thank you for coming by, and hope to see you again.